Welcome to Craft Time, where we learn that God is good all the time. Joining me on Craft Time are two highly talented people from Joe's Craft, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. Thank you for being on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I know you from quite some time back. I've watched your work. I watched the work that you do. Both of you are highly talented. We've had some shows where you build things, and I mean, it's just a pleasure watching you work. Every time I walk into your house, I see something new, something that I want to take and learn about. But putting that all aside, I also know that you have two children at home who are equally talented. I had the pleasure of watching one of them take part in a small skit that was put up. Again, multi-talented. He plays the keyboard, he plays the guitar, plays basketball, and then you have your daughter who's even talented as him. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's only with God's grace we could see our children coming up. We do things only to glorify God. But seeing that, and God has put them also the skills, and they are also developing in that.
Yes, I definitely agree with you, because you showed me one of the drawings that your son did, and I should say he's a chip off the old block. Speaking of your daughter, what is she doing now?
She's completing her BSc.
BSc nursing? Is she doing nursing?
No, BSc MLT.
Okay, she's doing her lab technician. Fantastic. So, as a family, did you groom them into doing arts and crafts along with you?
Yes, it was in our mind. We always believe that talents are given by God and opportunities are also given by God.
Well, I'm sure God must have poured out a whole lot more talents on you. I mean, compared to me, I'm sure God has blessed everyone equally with talents. But in your case, I think He added a little bit more.
Maybe the 5 talents. So we have
Maybe
to
5
give
talents
more account.
Okay. Speaking of accounts and the talents that you have, and as you said, we have to account to God more. I'm sure God has blessed you in numerous ways, and He's definitely going to bless you more with the talents that you have. But as individuals, even before you two met, and you've been happily married for so many years, as far as I can remember.
22 years.
22 years, fantastic. As far as I can, even as individuals, did you ever even think that you were going to learn or have as much of talent that you have now, have arts and crafts as a hobby, as part of you?
We never thought about it, but as the days went by, each time when we do something, we try to think, next time we should do better than this.
Okay, so it was always taking it to the next level.
Next level.
Once you got married, did you ever find a time when you said no to arts and crafts?
No.
No.
It was always there.
No.
Yes.
Always we were supporting to each other. So we learned a lot after marriage.
In fact, I can still remember a couple of marriages where you both did the decorations. I would just come by and sit and watch how you both would equally coordinate amongst yourself. You had a plan well in advance. You would take a thing. I mean, there was no wasting of time. It was not like, okay, what do we do next? What do we do next? It was just one step after the next step after the next step.
We always make a sketch of what you're going to do in advance.
And we
plan it
pray.
out.
So
We pray about it, and God really helps. In each thing we could experience God's leading.
Okay, let me get this straight now. What you're saying is, if you accept to, let's say, out of the blue, do wedding decorations for somebody, that you actually sit down and draw out how the decorations are going to be, down to the last detail, and you actually pray over it.
Yes.
Yes.
And when he does the sketching, he will show to me, and I will also add. And when I do something, I will show to him, and he will also
I mean,
guide
what
me.
better combination than this? You know, you have a husband and wife team, and then you take everything to God for Him to approve.
Yes.
I mean, that's awesome. Just a little bit on the academic side. Now, I know you're both highly talented. We've already established that. We also know that you have 2 children, so that's going to keep you busy as well. But apart from that, you're also working in one of the Seventh-day Adventist colleges down at Pune. Now, that must take up a lot of your time.
Yes.
So what is it exactly that you do?
Currently, I am taking up the admissions of Spicer Memorial College.
So if I have to put it in terms of academics, what is it that you have finished?
I finished my Master in Arts,
You finished your Master in Arts.
MA.
Okay. In what field?
History I have completed.
All right. I'm going to hold you right there. I'm going to come back to you.
I have done my BA.
Okay. So you did your BA in Bachelor's in Arts in
Yes.
what field?
I just did in education and
Okay.
psychology.
Now, the reason why I asked you this is you have a Master's in Arts in History, and you are working with the admissions. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you're working in the school
As teacher.
as a teacher. So you have school, you have MA History and admissions. Where does arts and crafts come into play?
We have made this as part of our life. Wherever we have to use, we just use them. Not only in the academic line,
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Well-
Everywhere we show our artistic talent.
Well, I'm sure since you have a master's and a bachelor's, it's definitely going to be a lot more artful. Well, we'll just come back after a short break. Don't go away. When we come back, we're going to learn more with Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. Welcome back to Craft Time. We are in conversation with Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Desai. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Before we went for a break, you mentioned that you had a Master's in Arts and a Bachelor's in Arts, and together you have both been highly artful and talented. You've shown your skills. Why choose arts and crafts? I mean, you did history, you did education. Why choose something that practically, I should say, in our schools that nobody even talks about? Why choose arts and crafts?
When you do something in arts and craft, once it is completed, you feel happy in your heart.
So you have the joy of seeing
Joy of
something
seeing.
completed.
Yes.
So I'm sure it might be more or less the same joy that Christ did when He created the heavens and the
Heavens.
earths and all that goes with it. Now, you love what you do, obviously. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it for so long.
Yes.
Every time I come home, as I said, you have some new piece that you've done. I've seen the joy of you teaching your students of how to draw. I've seen you especially, where you're so inquisitive when you want to learn something new, which is a joy to me to watch somebody who is much older than I am, having that passion. But having said all that, having done numerous decorations for many events, what are some of the things that you have made? I mean, let alone arts and crafts, flowers and wedding decorations and things like that. But physical things that you have made, that you have taken time, you've put in your effort, that you have made that has meant a lot to you. What are some of the things that you have done?
All our home furnitures are done by him, and I also contribute to that. Suppose our bed, if he is making the cot, the mattress I will be doing. Any work, whenever we do, we both share. For example, when somebody asks us to make offering bag, he will do the handle part and I will do the
bags.
So anything.
So where there's a plus, there's a minus. No, I'm just joking, but I mean, you equally share
Share and we do it.
whatever it is that you do.
Even in cooking also, we.
So if you make sambar, he makes the rice.
Yes.
Okay. That's nice. I mean, it's a joy to see two people synchronizing so well, I mean, we only find that in machine parts where one synchronizes against it. But it's nice to see that. Now, does this also carry on to your children? I mean, do they feel the joy that you all have? I mean, I have seen the joy that you all have, obviously. I mean, I'm sure many of the other people around you have also seen it. But your children, do they feel the same joy that you do when
Yes.
you?
Exactly.
Yes.
They make a positive comment whenever we finish something.
So they're your biggest critics.
Yes.
When we got married, we decided that we will never feel or say that this is man's work and lady's work. So anything both of us will do, and we include our children, and we taught them that they should never feel that this is men's job and ladies' job. Whatever it is, we have to put our hands together and do, so that the joy will be shared.
Well, talking about sharing that joy, I'm sure your family is a happy family. It's blessed. But I'm also sure the amount of time, the amount of effort you put in to doing some of the things is phenomenal, that when you see it completed, the joy doesn't stay just with you. It goes on to the others. I think there was a time where I had the pleasure of seeing you all prepare a group of children for that skit that was performed, and some of the things that you made, I mean, part of their costumes were made out of things that I wouldn't even have thought of. You had hats made out of plastic and the toilet brushes and, a whole lot of things. And I thought that was phenomenal. It was a joy just to see that. Now, getting into arts and crafts a little deeper, I mean, you've had a lot of joy. Your children obviously have a lot of joy when they see you complete things. Your home furniture is all done. But what happens to people outside your home? I mean, how is it impacting them? When you make flowers, when you do decorations, how is arts and craft impacting people?
When we really see this, we really thank God for giving us that mind. Whenever people come to our home, we see that at least they learn something from us directly or indirectly.
Definitely.
So if we have time, we will teach them something. Or if we go anywhere, if we are going to stay with them at least for a day or two, we see that something is taught to that family or children.
So
through
apart
us.
from being at home, even when you travel around, you spend time.
We carry things.
I mean, that's amazing. When I travel around, I don't carry anything apart from what I have to do. But you taking time out to teach somebody is amazing. Can you give us,
Especially whenever we travel on train, she brings some of the craft item in the hand. So when we start making it, the people around, they get
Yes,
more
obviously.
curious. They will come to ask questions and we will share them things. At the end of the day, we give them some of the books or Adventist books we give to in the hands.
So let me get this straight now. You're doing arts and crafts. You're managing your office. You're managing your home. You are obviously at peace, I should say, or joyous all the time since you're forever doing arts and crafts. But the question here is, you even managing to convert it into a ministry, which I think is phenomenal. But we'll talk more about that when we have a short break. Friends, when we come back, we're going to learn more about this arts and crafts ministry. Don't go away. Have you ever heard about silent ministry? Something different, isn't it? Well, welcome back to Craft Time. We're going to find out more about this silent ministry. Now, just before we went to the break, we talked about arts and crafts in ministry. And then you also mentioned, when we were on the break, something about silent ministry. What is this silent ministry?
Ministry means I feel that whoever doesn't know about Christ, we should be the instrument to help them know about Jesus.
Right.
Or if they know already Jesus, strengthen their faith to be with Jesus. This was my theme for the ministry. So I look for opportunity, whether at home or school, with family members or friends or parents with whom I associate. And I see that whichever way I can be useful to them, if they can earn something through our gift, we will be ready to teach them.
So basically what you're saying is your arts and craft is opening a door through which you can do ministry.
Yes.
Yes.
For many people, we can say the students, when they had a financial problem, maybe we can give a little support, but we can't be helping throughout their lifetime. So we teach some of these things and we give them ideas where they can.
Right. So definitely it's benefiting them. I mean,
Yes.
you're passing on your hobby to other people for them to make a living, for
Yes.
them to support themselves.
Yes. Other than that also, we do a lot of CDs distribution and books, tracts, and Bible studies, visiting
So
people.
there's never a dull moment when when people come into contact with you. You're always happy.
Yes.
You're always doing things. Your hands are always busy.
Yes.
So, there's never a dull moment. Now, I have recently heard that you had the pleasure, or I should say, both of you had the pleasure of building the Taj Mahal again. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, in the last general conference meeting, the Southern Asia Division officers asked me to make the booth for the Southern Asia in Atlanta. So we had a meeting and we thought we will make a model of Taj Mahal so that people can understand this is from India. They thought I'll be making something plain. But for me, every opportunity, I want to make use of it. So what I did, we made a sketch of it. I made the Taj Mahal for 10 feet in length and almost 8.5 feet in height and 5 feet in projection. We made it out of thermocol. And I can say every step I can see God's hand was leading with me. And at the end of the day, it came out so good. Everybody liked it. And I praise God for that.
I mean, talk about glorifying God with your hands. I mean, there's no other joy, better than that. Speaking of which, you mentioned DVDs, tracts, books. You open the door through arts and crafts. But let's get down and practical now. How is it that you are using the talents that God has given you, both as individuals and together as a family, to do His work?
So always being a housewife, ladies will have plenty things. I can say for me, a great support was my husband. If
I'm
not
sure
for
you
him,
would say the same.
Yes,
Behind every successful man is a lady.
ladies.
otherwise I could have not been to this extent. And before that, I want to thank my father also, because he was my inspiration. When we were small, always he used to tell that handwork is very important. If you want to stand for Jesus as a faithful witness, you have to have something in your hand.
So you always work with your hands.
Yes. Otherwise, he will say, you will train yourself to be a thief. So his words were so direct. So maybe I didn't understand when I was small, but when I grew, I really understood the meaning. So I started developing. Though my father was mission worker, he could not provide me everything, whatever I wanted, but he really put that thought in our mind from E.G. White's
So
book.
from a very, very young childhood,
Yes.
you were always taught to work with your hands,
Yes.
giving it your best shot no matter what
Yes.
the consequences was.
Yes.
Work with your hands, work
Yes.
for the glory of God, use your talents to glorify God.
Yes.
Well, you've both worked on the Taj Mahal. Maybe not the original Taj Mahal, but the Taj Mahal that you all made, the 8 foot by 10, the 10 foot by
8
Eight.
8
and-
feet. Now, apart from something working on something that big, that would have taken a whole lot of time because
Yes.
you had work, you have home, you have a whole lot of things. But when you talk about ministry, and this is getting practical again, when you talk about ministry, how is it going to impact me? Now, you all are highly talented. I'm going to look at you and say, I don't have that. So how is it going to affect me? How is it going to affect the next person?
See, when we spend time, we always think, I don't know, again I will get a chance to see you or
So
to see somebody.
that's what
or
you
not.
use. That's the secret weapon you use. You say, you may not get another chance,
Sure.
so you use whatever opportunity you have
Yes.
to do your ministry, to talk about God, to
Yes.
open doors.
Yes.
Well-
Whether they like or not, we just do it. Someday it will help them.
You know what? Honestly speaking, I want to thank you for being on this show. I personally learned a lot from the time that we've spent together, and I'm definitely going to use every opportunity I get. Thank you again, both of you, for being on the show.
We want to
Thank God for
this
all His
opportunity.
blessings.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for joining us on Craft Time. We'll see you later.